My name is Phil McQuaid. I'm on the product management team at Dun & Bradstreet, responsible for DNB Hoovers. So the first thing that I want to walk through is the first research reports that Jennifer spoke to. To do this, I'm going to navigate out to Alaska Air Group as a target. And I'm going to navigate down my report list to this section called the industry information. These 9 individual reports make up a first research profile, and that's what I'm going to walk through the first half of this demo. So let me dive in and start with the industry overview section. The industry overview really aggregates or gathers key highlights from individual reports that make up this profile. And through each of the sections, let me describe what users can expect to see and what insights they can glean from each of these sections. Firstly, there's a fast facts section, which provides a quick snapshot view of the industry. Moving on to the growth rating, this rates industries according to their potential for growth relative to other industries covered by First Research, so it's a comparative. The industry indicator section presents some key statistics that our First Research editors determined to be relevant to the particular industry. Moving to our industry forecast, this section shows revenue growth of U.S. establishments as a result of increases in production and/or increases of pricing. I'll lay out this forecast over a series of years. Moving down to the next few sections. Firstly, we have a top challenges and talking points. This section is presented as a question and response, if you will, and this top challenges section outlines risks affecting companies in this industry. Presented in a fashion, there are top opportunities, and this outlines and identifies available opportunities for companies that belong to this industry. And lastly, on this industry overview, there's an executive talking points section. And what this provides is questions about specific actions that senior executives are likely to be taking to address major strategic issues specific to their industry. The next section of a First Research profile I'll dive into is the industry description. And this really is going to go ahead and provide a very deep and rich description of the industry and the internal and external forces that are impacting it. To start, the industry description section is a really high-level outline of the scope of this industry. Moving down to the competitive landscape, this assesses the competitive pressures faced by companies in this particular industry. You'll find a product and operations section available, which describes what companies in this industry do to generate revenue and how they do it. Moving down to sales and marketing, this profiles typical customers served by companies in this industry, and it also details the sales and marketing strategies that are most commonly used by companies in this particular space. Finance and regulation is going to outline major issues related to finance and working capital affecting companies in the industry. This section also details major regulations affecting the industry, and it also details the agencies responsible for enforcing those regulations. Moving down to regional issues, to detail items that are geographically specific in terms of impacting this industry. And lastly, there's a human resources section, which identifies special skills or training required for workers in the space. It also will include information on topics such as annual personal turnover, industries relative to the US average, differences between industry wages for production and non-supervisory employees compared to the US average as well. Moving on to the next section, we have quarterly industry updates. And this section describes the impact on an industry of a challenge, trend, or opportunity that's been covered in recent news, media, government statistics. And for this particular industry, we're talking about airlines here. We can see our most recent update details some of the concerns and impact of the coronavirus on the airline industry. Moving on to the next report, we have our Executive Insight Report. And this report describes specific actions that senior executives are likely to be taking to address major strategic issues that are specific to their industry. It's broken out by some key executive functions, and in each there's some details about those specific actions that they might be taking. And there's also a series of talking points which presents a question and answer presentation of these specific actions. Again, these are broken out by specific executive positions within the organization, and each will feature that talking point section as well. Moving on to the Challenges, Trends, and Opportunity report. This contains 3 key sections that take a deeper dive into challenges, trends, and opportunities than we saw in the overview. It's an extension of some of that information we saw on the overview screen. So on the challenges side, this is going to outline important and enduring risks that are affecting companies in the industry. Moving down to the business trends, these are going to describe trends that are affecting companies in the industry. And lastly, on the opportunity side, this will be detailing and identifying opportunities available to companies in this particular industry. The next section that I want to show is call prep questions, and Jennifer spent a little bit of time calling these out when reviewing first research reports. These provide, again, that question and answer format that we've seen in other sections, but the report offers insight into topics that could be top of mind for your customer. This is a great place to identify topics to discuss during a discovery call or a meeting. It'll really help jumpstart some of those conversations that you want to have. In this particular section, there's talking points. Again, we have this question and response presentation designed really to help and things that are going to be top of mind for people to be meeting with. And we also have individual sections that map to some functional areas within the company. Moving on to financial information. This particular section includes 3 key sections. The first is company benchmark trends, and these present mean quick ratio and mean ratio of current liabilities to net worth for companies that are in this industry. We'll have a company benchmark information section, and what this is going to do is present data from income statements, balance sheets, and selected financial ratios collected for companies in this industry. And then lastly, in this particular section, we'll have economic statistics and information, and this presents statistics that were determined by our DNB editorial team to be relevant to this particular industry. Rounding out our first research report, I'll hit the last 2 sections. The first is industry websites and acronyms. On the industry website side, this is going to provide websites for trade associations and news sources relevant to the industry. And then in the glossary of acronyms, this is going to list and spell out acronyms commonly used by industry participants. And the last section I want to show in the first research report is in codes, and this provides visibility. It makes codes or set codes that align with this particular space for error. In addition to being able to view a first research report mapped to a particular company, I do want to call out that users can search for this content as well. If they come up to search and build a list, they'll have access to research and reports. And in this section, I can search first research content. An example, if I wanted to search reports by title, come in and type computer, and I'll receive a range of reports back that have that particular term in their title. One thing I'll call out is that I can also go and search the content or the text of the reports, and I'll go ahead and search for data center as an example. And when I view my results, I can see reports that contain that term within the text. Okay, so at this point, I want to transition over and talk about Decision HQ a little bit. Again, this is an analytic data point that allows users to easily identify business locations where purchasing decisions are likely to be made. So to demonstrate how you can use this Decision HQ identifier when list building, I'll move through a very quick and simple list building exercise. I'll choose location, do tri-state area, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut. I'm interested in companies that have a low risk in terms of my pre-screen score, and this is giving me visibility to the likelihood that a company will be able to pay bills within a 12 to 18 month window. I'll also search for companies that have more than 15 corporate family members, and then moving down to our corporate family filter category. This is where I'm going to find Decision HQ. The filter is called Is Decision HQ. I have two options, yes and no. When I choose yes, it's going to only include those decision-making locations in my result set. So I'm going to go ahead and click View Results. And I'm looking at a list of about 14,000 companies in the tri-state area with a low-risk pre-screen score that have more than 15 corporate family members in our Decision HQs. One thing I do want to call out is when you're looking at search results, you'll see this star icon next to Decision HQ. This is our icon or iconography that denotes the company as a decision headquarters. And because I built this list exclusively to contain Decision HQs, you'll see them throughout the particular list that I'm moving through here. And let me jump off to Charter Communications. We'll take a look at what Decision HQ looks like on a report itself. So here at a Charter Communications report, you can see that I have Decision HQ here as an available data point in my corporate highlights section. If I move into a corporate family report, I'll also see this Decision HQ iconography in the tree itself. So when I'm looking at the full implement of organization, I can see where that decision making or buying resides in the tree itself. One thing that's really cool in this particular report too is I can search it. So let's say I want to just identify those Decision HQs that are located in New York. I can go ahead and search the tree for entities in New York. That returns 112. But again, I can come down to this corporate family section, choose Is Decision HQ, view my results, and now I see just the 24 locations that are Decision HQs located in New York. One thing I do want to allow is see some locations that are not in New York. They're presented in this gray or text. Those are parents of these entities that are Decision HQs in New York. We always will retain them when the tree is filtered, retain that structure that people look for when working with corporate family. So I want to show a couple of additional data points, spend capacity and growth trajectory within search. To do this, I'm going to actually navigate back to this list that I built here for the tri-state area. I'm going to add additional criteria. I'm going to move down to the Advanced Insights filter category, and I have growth trajectory and spend capacity available to me as data points. For growth trajectory, I'm going to choose companies that are growing or stable. And on the spend capacity side, I'm interested in companies with the highest spend capacity, high and medium. I want to take from the higher end of the spectrum here. So I'll add that criteria and click View Results. And now, in addition to companies in the tri-state area with that low pre-screen score, more than 15 corporate family members that are Decision HQs, I'm also looking at companies that are either growing and stable and have a health spend capacity. Lastly, I'm going to navigate off to a company profile and demonstrate where a user can find these particular data points when looking at an individual company. And they sit right here underneath corporate highlights on the company summary report. And here we can see this company has a highest designation for spend capacity and their growth trajectory is stable. That concludes the through and demonstration of research. Decision HQ, spend capacity, growth trajectory.